Discover the heartwarming moment when an unexpected sign language touches a billionaire's deaf mind. In the bustling heart of Chicago's suburbs, Sarah and her son Caleb made their way to the community center for a charity event. It was a sunny Saturday, and laughter filled the air. The scent of popcorn wafted through the crowd, but all Sarah could focus on was Caleb's hand smiling through the sign language they had practiced together. The vibrant excitement around them faded as they shared their intimate connection, signaling through the language of the heart. Together, they were a world apart from the crowded expectations. Their bond was electric. As Sarah animatedly signed a story about a daring rabbit who didn't let anything stop him, Caleb's giggles bubbled up like a joyful melody. Every flapping hand movement helped convey emotions that words couldn't capture. Onlookers paused, mesmerized, as the two created a universe where laughter and love flourished despite the challenges of being deaf. In that moment, Sarah felt invincible. She showed him that the barriers in the world were merely invitations to jump higher. Unknown to them, in the corner of the room, David Wells, the billionaire known for his role in tech innovation, was drawn in by the warmth radiating from their interaction. Something inside him stirred. This connection went beyond profits and spreadsheets. He watched, captivated, as Sarah emphasized the beauty of communication. It hit him harder than any business deal ever could. As he vibrated between hope and guilt, the world he had built suddenly felt too rigid for such fluidity. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sarah, oblivious to the scornful glances from David's colleagues, poured her heart into teaching Caleb the significance of his voice. His sign language was his power. Later, however, the tension grew as discussions about profits overshadowed the event's purpose. They were caught in a web that made it clear their needs would remain unheard unless someone truly listened. The moment Caleb was denied access to a groundbreaking communication technology ignited something raw within Sarah. This injustice was too palpable. David felt the weight of his privilege as he witnessed the frustration and fire erupt in Sarah's eyes. What had been a mere fascination now held deeper meaning. Yet, navigating both worlds, the corporate realm and the love between a mother and son, proved to be a daunting challenge. As David contemplated ways to help, the fear of appearing as just another donor loomed large. With victory hanging in the air, Sarah's determination fueled a fierce battle against obstacles he never knew existed. She was not just fighting for Caleb, she was standing for every overlooked individual. Their vastly different lives collided, sparking a tension that promised growth, understanding, and change. How could they bridge the gap when their hopes were at such odds? The journey had only begun, but the stakes felt impossibly high. Would they unite in their quest for dignity and acceptance, or would their world's demands prove too daunting to overcome? Amidst the vibrant energy of the charity event, Sarah took a moment to breathe deeply. Right as she turned to Caleb, his bright eyes still sparkling with innocence, she realized they had the power to change the narrative even within the chaos around them. "Caleb, do you want to show them your favorite song?" she asked, confidence surging through her. Caleb's eyes lit up like fireworks. He nodded vigorously, grasping her hand to enhance their connection before stepping forward, a burst of excitement radiating from him. She and Caleb moved to the center stage, all eyes drawn to them. The music filled the room, soft and melodic, as Caleb began to sign with grace, a true representation of his joy. Sarah stood beside him, joining in with her own movements, creating a dazzling display that narrated their love and dreams. The audience was spellbound, watching the performance unfold as if it were a scene from their own lives. David felt his heart racing, admiration washing over him like a wave. The audience reacted, whispers turned to applause, a wholesome sound of acceptance wrapped around them. The moment felt surreal, as if time had slowed. Caleb was here, unfiltered, powerful, freeing himself from the constraints of expectations. It was a moment of pure connection, and Sarah basked in the pride that radiated from her son, but as the applause faded, reality returned. David's colleagues exchanged nervous glances, their worlds still tethered to profit margins and stock prices, while he wrestled with an impulse deep inside him. The drive to make a difference collided with the weight of his corporate obligations. Was it enough to feel inspired? Could he leverage his influence for something beyond mere charity? Or was he condemned to witness change without taking action? The evening continued, and Sarah's moment of victory was bittersweet. She overheard snippets of discussions where Caleb's access, his rights, were trivialized as though they were just numbers on a balance sheet. Each word ignited a fire within her, a swirling vortex of frustration mingled with determination. She had to fight for Caleb, but more importantly, for all those who couldn't fight for themselves. Torn between her mission and her fear of rejection, Sarah had to act. The whispers of lobbyists taunted her like phantoms, reminding her that the world was riddled with barriers designed to stifle the voices of people like her son. She, too, carried the weight of that struggle. Could she amplify their fight? David stood on the sidelines, aware now more than ever of the privilege he had grown accustomed to. His company had spent years developing technology that could change lives, yet here he was, immobilized by indecision. What could he offer that would truly matter? What would it take to bridge his world with Sarah's? As the charity event neared its conclusion, an idea struck. If he could create a partnership, an initiative that went beyond cash donations, could he truly make a shift in his world? With a newfound resolve, David took a step forward, but would the courage to act be enough to meet Sarah halfway, or would his hesitation shatter the potential for change? He clutched a nearby napkin, scribbling down thoughts as he ventured toward her, heart racing. But before he could speak, she glanced back over her shoulder and locked eyes with him. What would that moment reveal? Would this unexpected encounter lead to a powerful alliance, or would their towering differences keep them apart? The choices ahead could change their lives forever. The crowd buzzed with energy, the air thick with anticipation as Sarah and David stared at each other, that shared gaze a spotlight in the sea of faces. Time itself felt suspended, laden with unsaid words and hidden possibilities. Her heart raced, doubt urged her to turn away, but hope anchored her feet. She clutched Caleb's hand tighter, feeling his warmth radiate through her. David took a deep breath. His fingers tightened around the napkin where he had scrawled thoughts that danced in his mind. It was now or never. He could feel his pulse quicken, fueled by the weight of what he wanted to propose. It wasn't merely a business idea, it was a chance to be part of something bigger. It could change lives, potentially including his own. Sarah, he managed to say, breaking the silence that felt like a thin layer of glass. What Caleb did tonight, it showed me something I haven't seen before. His voice trembled, a mixture of admiration and an underlying urgency. I need your help to make a real, lasting impact, not just through charity, but through action. Caleb tugged at Sarah's sleeve, sensing his mother's tension. David's sincerity broke through her uncertainty like sunlight breaking through clouds. She wanted to believe. Could this be the start of a partnership? Could they really work together? David, what do you mean? She asked, feeling her pulse quicken alongside his. The beat of the room faded, becoming a murmur in the background. He took a step closer and lowered his voice so only she could hear him. I want to create an initiative, something that combines technology and advocacy, to ensure access for kids like Caleb. To bring their voices into boardrooms. To shift perspectives. Sarah felt her heart swell. The flicker of hope ignited within her. And you think you can do that? She could hardly believe the words coming from him, a man wrapped up in the corporate world, now seeking to bridge a divide. I can try, he said earnestly, sincerity lining his face. With the right strategy, we can make these conversations happen. I've seen the potential in our technology, but I need someone who knows the struggle to steer us in the right direction. Their eyes locked, each reflecting determination and fear alike. It was as if they were standing on the edge of a precipice, with the potential to leap into matters that transcended both their worlds. I'm not sure if I can be your voice. I'm tired of being dismissed, of fighting an uphill battle, Sarah confessed, her voice almost a whisper. But if there's a way to change things for Caleb, for others like him, I want to try. David reached for her hand, bridging the physical gap between them, an invitation to be allies in this endeavor. Together, we can figure it out. It won't be easy, but I believe we can reshape the conversation. In that moment, Sarah felt a storm of emotion rise within her. Excitement mixed with trepidation. This could be the beginning of something revolutionary, but the path ahead was fraught with challenges. Caleb watched closely, his innocent smile enveloping the tension in the air, offering a reminder of what was truly at stake. He didn't grasp the adult complexities, but he understood warmth and connection. Suddenly, a loud crack of laughter erupted from a nearby group, causing her to glance in their direction. The moment felt fragile, and Sarah's mind raced. What if they reject us? What if they keep seeing Caleb and kids like him as just costs rather than the potential they truly are? David shifted slightly, stepping into the space beside her. I don't know, he admitted, vulnerability reflecting in his eyes. But don't we owe it to kids like Caleb to fight for something real? A hush fell over them as the weight of their decisions lingered. They were two worlds colliding, each filled with hope but unsure where to go from here. With a slow nod, she made her choice a leap of faith into uncharted territory. Let us do it, she whispered, her heart pounding against the walls of her expectations. Just then, Caleb looked up at them, eyes wide with curiosity. What is going on? He signed. Laughter bubbling in the back of his throat as he instinctively sensed the shift in the room. With a sense of renewed determination, Sarah smiled down at him. Big things, buddy. Really big things. But would their ambition be enough to create the change they dreamed of? As they started laying plans, a question loomed in the air: was either of them truly prepared for the storm that was about to break upon them? The vibrant atmosphere around them started to wane, replaced by an invisible weight of expectation. David turned slightly, scanning the crowd that had looked so inviting just moments before. Now, every face seemed to represent a voice, a question, a vote of confidence or doubt. The energy shifted, each whisper echoing the stakes they had just embraced. All right then, David said, trying to steel himself. Let us discuss how to bring this vision to life. She could hear the excitement thrumming in his voice, yet Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Those familiar doubts crept back in, gnawing at her resolve. She inhaled deeply, and with her heart still racing, urged forward. What do you envision? A community meeting? A pitch to investors? He smiled at the rush of ideas bouncing between them, igniting a spark. We'll start small, organized workshops to connect with parents, caregivers, and specialists. The aim is to talk about real experiences, real hurdles. But what about the tech part? Sarah pressed, wanting to poke holes in his plan to see how sturdy it really was. David scratched the back of his head, a flicker of concern crossing his features. I have some contacts in the tech sector. They're keen on social impact projects. We can prototype something that's functional and affordable. Affordable, she repeated, echoing his enthusiasm while feeling the weight of reality. A lot of people don't think it's possible. They see disability as a luxury drain rather than potential. Caleb nudged her, trying to sign something she couldn't quite catch, his enthusiasm pouring over like a fresh spring. She glanced at him and felt her heart swell with a warmth that somehow eased her doubts. Pivoting her attention back to David, she let out a sigh. It's just I don't want to fail him. David nodded, his brow creasing slightly. We can't control how others will respond. But we can damn well control how we fight back together. Let us redefine what's possible. Caleb jumped up, giggling, and Sarah couldn't help but smile at her son's contagious energy. The sound of laughter drew some curious eyes toward them, and for a moment, the looming fear dissipated as they collectively embraced the idea that they were building something meaningful. What if we invite people to share their stories? Sarah suggested suddenly, the idea spilling out before she could second-guess herself. Amplify their voices through this initiative. Make them part of the conversation. I love it, David said instantly, his excitement rolling like a wave. We could create a platform, something interactive where families can share videos, blogs, experiences. It could build a community. The mere thought of it ignited a warmth in Sarah, imagining families uniting for a common cause. She pictured kids like Caleb laughing, sharing, and being recognized for their true potential rather than their limitations. But just as that warmth began to settle in, a shadow passed over her mind, seemingly from nowhere. And what if they don't listen? What if it just becomes noise? She asked softly, her optimism colliding with the harsh reality they faced. David's expression grew serious, and for a moment, the weight of that question hung heavy. Then we keep pushing. We keep talking. One small ripple can become a wave, Sarah. It was as if they were standing on the threshold of something huge, yet fragile. They shared a look, a promise laced between the worry and hope, then turned to Caleb, whose innocent excitement dispersed the doubts that clung to her heart. Are you ready to help us change the world? David asked Caleb, who responded with an enthusiastic gasp and jumped into action, mimicking superhero poses. Sarah laughed, feeling her fears slip away. If Caleb had enough courage to leap into this new venture, maybe she could, too. All right, she said, determination welling up inside her. Let us start mapping out our plan. Together. But as they began brainstorming, a familiar figure at the edge of the crowd caught her eye. Someone with an unmistakable presence. Someone who could shatter everything they were trying to build. What would happen when the past collided with their promising future? Sarah's heart began to race again, tightening her grip on the moment. The air around them buzzed with possibility, but uncertainty lingered. Would this be the connection that could either cement their plans or tear them apart? Sarah's heart raced as she blinked at the figure stepping forward. The crowd parted like waves, revealing Tom, a former colleague, someone she had respected and feared in equal measure. Years ago, they had shared an office, trading jabs over deadlines and coffee breaks. But things had changed, and now his presence loomed overhead like storm clouds. Sarah, he called, his voice booming amidst the chatter of the gathering. It sent a jolt through her. Part of her wanted to retreat. Another part, the defiant part, urged her to stand tall. She wasn't the same timid person she had been back then. David noticed the shift in her demeanor, concern flashing in his eyes. You okay? He whispered, his hand brushing her arm, grounding her in the moment. Yeah, she replied, taking a deep breath. Just it's Tom. Good or bad? He asked, peeking around her. Depends on the day, she murmured, unable to tear her gaze away from Tom, who was now approaching with a confident strut. Hey, hasn't anyone told you it's rude to ignore someone? Tom smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I was hoping to catch up. Is that what you're doing? She replied, the words coming out sharper than she intended. After all this time, Tom. He put his hands up in mock surrender. Point taken. But hear me out. I heard about your project, and I'm interested. Sarah felt David tense beside her. What do you mean interested? He asked, crossing his arms. Tom met his gaze, his smile fading slightly. Just that I think it could have potential bigger than you realize. And I might know a few people who could help. Help? Or control? Sarah's voice wobbled between incredulity and curiosity. Why not both? Tom tilted his head, eyes gleaming with a mix of ambition and challenge. Look, I'm not asking for a partnership right now. Just don't write me off. I want to see what you're building. Caleb, oblivious to the tension, clutched a toy in one hand, swinging it back and forth. His laughter bubbled like a fresh spring. Mom! Can he be our friend? An unexpected warmth flooded Sarah's heart at Caleb's innocence. He's not your enemy, buddy, she replied with a forced smile. But friends have to trust each other. Tom crouched down to Caleb's level, his previous facade momentarily fading. If I could do something to help kids like you, I would. You're a hero, you know that. Caleb's eyes twinkled. Superheroes never give up. He squeaked, launching into an animated retelling of his latest imaginary adventure. Sarah watched Tom's expression soften. For just a moment, he seemed genuine. Yet the unease gnawed at her. Was this a wolf in sheep's clothing, or had time reshaped Tom into someone worthy of trust? Here's the thing, Sarah said, heart pounding. If you really want to help, show us. Actions speak louder than words. Fair enough, he replied, his surprise evident. Send me your details, and we'll talk. As Tom straightened up and moved away, Sarah felt the weight of his glance linger. Her heart raced, caught in an emotional whirlwind as she turned back to David, who still looked uncertain. Do you think we can trust him? David asked quietly. I don't know, she admitted, a pit forming in her stomach. But he is part of our world now. And we're on a tightrope above a storm. Anyone could tip us over. Then we keep our balance, David replied, determination filling his eyes. They shared a moment of understanding. This was their dream, their fight. They couldn't afford to let fear guide them. As the evening wore on, ideas flowed, and laughter mixed with hopes. It felt like the beginnings of something big. But in the back of Sarah's mind lingered Tom's last words, unsaid but clear, you're in my world now. Her heart ached with the weight of uncertainty as if they were standing on the edge of a precipice. What if trusting Tom opened doors they weren't ready to walk through? The push and pull of doubt and hope swirled within her, leaving her grappling with the question, could this venture rise above the shadows of her past, or would it unravel before it even began? The following days felt like navigating a labyrinth, each corner bringing both hope and confusion. Sarah tried to push past the unsettled feeling Tom left behind. In the early morning light, she watched Caleb light up as he built a makeshift rocket out of cardboard and crayons. His laughter was pure, infectious, the sort that reminded her of why she fought so hard. Look, Mom. I'm going to be an astronaut. He declared, hands raised high as if claiming victory over the stars. That's amazing, buddy, she said, smiling through the tension that lingered, knowing that her own dreams felt intertwined with those of her little boy. She spent her days working on the project, but even her best efforts carried an undercurrent of anxiety. Each ping of her phone sent a jolt through her, hoping it would be Tom. Yet, as the hours melted away, the messages never came. Around her, life pulsed on, but inside, she felt the heavy weight of uncertainty. The cafe she worked from hummed with energy, a whirl of active conversations and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Sarah stole a moment to herself over a lukewarm cup, the steam curling up into the cool air. Thoughts spiraled, colliding with doubts. What if Tom had only been playing with her mind? The way he turned so easily from charm to calculated ambition was unnerving. Hey, Penny, for your thoughts. David's voice broke through her worries, though the concern in his eyes told her this wasn't the first time he'd noticed her drifting away. I just wonder if inviting him into our space was a mistake. I have this nagging feeling, she confessed, shaking her head. What if we aren't ready for this? David leaned in closer, his voice low but steady. We're building something important. If Tom can help, it might make all the difference. Or it could drown us, she replied, glancing around as if searching for reassurance among the baristas and patrons. Sarah, you're stronger than you realize. Don't doubt yourself now. You have come so far, he reassured her, but she could see the hint of his own worry reflected back. Just as doubt clouded her mind, the cafe door swung open. Sarah's heart seized when she saw Tom step inside. He scanned the room, and their eyes locked for a brief moment. Her breath caught in her throat. What was he doing here? Mind if I join you? Tom's tone was casual, but his intent felt like a strike of lightning. David's back straightened as Tom approached their table. I wanted to talk quickly about the project, Tom continued, flashing his trademark smile. I think we might have some solutions to discuss. Before Sarah could respond, Caleb darted over, eyes shining with excitement. "Can I show you my rocket?" he blurted out, pointing at the cardboard craft he had left on the table. Tom's face softened, intrigued. "Absolutely, I'd love to see it." For an instant, the tension in Sarah's chest eased as she watched Caleb drag Tom to the little creation. But that relief faded when a knot twisted in her stomach. Tom receiving Caleb's adoration felt like an unsteady gamble. Could he handle the innocence of a child while juggling his own interests? Caleb animatedly explained his project, and Tom listened, genuinely engaged, as if guided by a soft light. Yet amidst the warmth, doubt crept back into Sarah's mind. Was this just a calculated play for affection, or did Tom really have a change of heart? "I have some ideas that could advance your project," Tom said casually, turning back to her after giving Caleb a high five. "I think we can take this to a new level together." Her heart raced. A mingling of trust and skepticism flooded through her. Was Tom genuinely invested now, or was this another game she couldn't afford to play? Sarah's eyes flickered nervously between David and Tom, seeking strength in her partner's unwavering support. "Okay, let us talk," she said, surprising even herself with certainty. "But remember, trust is earned. I'll need to see actions." A calculated smile spread across Tom's face, the kind that held secrets she couldn't yet decipher. As the three of them began to discuss ideas that could shape their future, a thought sparked inside Sarah's head. But just as she was about to articulate her hopes, a loud crash broke through their conversation. And with that jolt, she realized they were about to face an unexpected challenge. What could happen next, as the fragile balance of trust teetered and the storm beyond the horizon began to brew? The sound of shattered glass filled the air, slicing through the laughter and chatter of the cafe like a dagger. It came from the back, where a stack of dishes had succumbed to gravity, clattered, then smashed. Sarah's heart raced, eyes darting toward the chaos. An elderly customer, startled, turned sharply in her seat, eyes wide with concern. "Is everyone okay?" a barista shouted, rushing toward the scene. Caleb, oblivious to the commotion, kept pointing excitedly at his cardboard rocket, but Sarah's focus was divided. Her instincts kicked in as she moved toward the disturbance, but a firm hand on her arm halted her tracks. It was David. "Stay here," he said, his voice low but urgent. "Let them handle it." But she couldn't remain tethered to the table, her breath quickening anew with every muffled complaint from the crowd. Straining to see over shoulders, she caught snippets of hushed conversations. A woman had slipped in the mess, her shocked expression quickly replaced by an annoying grimace of embarrassment. Sarah's heart twisted for her. "Mom, can I show him now?" came Caleb's hopeful question, but Sarah felt a cloud over the moment. She nodded with a forced smile, but her heart wasn't in it. She could hardly focus on the presentation of the rocket when fragments of broken glass replayed in her mind, the sound, the sight. Now would their project, their plans, everything crumble under pressure too? "Let us get back to it," Tom spoke up, breaking the tension with his professional demeanor. "We're here to create." He glanced around, a spark of confidence flashing in his eyes. "A few bumps won't stop us." The words resonated with Sarah as if an anchor had suddenly dropped amidst waters churned by doubt. This was not just about them anymore, it involved little Caleb and their bigger dreams. Was she letting her anxieties dictate her every move? "Well, what ideas do you have?" she asked, her tone taking on a sharper edge, angry at herself for the wavering uncertainty that had held her hostage moments prior. Tom shifted his posture, welcoming the challenge. "We need to think bigger. What if we reached out to local businesses for sponsorship? We create something that gets attention, something so captivating it transcends." The thought ignited a flicker of hope within Sarah. Collaborating with the community had always been a part of her vision, one that she had overlooked while chasing fleeting supports. As the noise of the cafe dimmed around them, she caught David's nod of approval. Caleb tugged at her sleeve, his innocent joy breaking through her thoughts. "Can I show him now, Mom?" Please. His impatience was palpable, and she couldn't help but smile. Okay, buddy. Show him your rocket. With enthusiasm surging through her like electricity, Sarah turned back to Tom, feeling the tentative threads of trust pulling a little tighter. His gaze shifted to Caleb, an expression of genuine interest etched on his face. Let us see your creation, champ, Tom encouraged, the friendly sincerity in his voice warming the tense atmosphere. As Caleb animatedly described his plans for a rocket that could reach the stars, Sarah felt a weight lift. Perhaps there was more to Tom than she had allowed herself to see. But just as the conversation began to flow, another crash rattled through the cafe. Sarah's heart sank. What else could go wrong? She exchanged a quick look with David, who leaned closer. Let us take it one step at a time, he said softly, offering her a reassuring smile. A step at a time. Right, she echoed, just as a shattering laugh erupted, a spill from the children's play area revealing the chaos of little hands and playful spirit, and amid that laughter, Sarah felt a surge of resolve. No matter the challenges they faced, they could find a way through this. It was about pushing forward, not letting the distractions derail their dreams. As the cafe buzzed back to life, with laughter breaking through the earlier energy, Sarah felt a familiar determination take root. Yet, in that moment of unity, a nagging thought crept back. What else was lurking beneath the surface? What had she missed in Tom's slight smile, the way he seemed far too comfortable in Caleb's world? And with that question lingering, they moved into the heart of negotiation. What truths would unfold in the days ahead? As Caleb filled the air with his animated voice, describing every detail of his cardboard rocket, Sarah felt a flicker of joy push through the anxiety. Each gesture he made, each word he breathed, was a reminder of why they were here in the first place. Tom leaned in, genuinely engaged. So, it's not just any rocket. It's a rocket that can take you to the stars. I love that. His eyes sparkled as he caught Caleb's enthusiasm, lifting the spirits around the table. A small group of curious onlookers started to gather, leaning in so they could catch snippets of Caleb's imaginative tale. The little boy's confidence blossomed with the unexpected audience. Yeah. And it can go super fast. He exclaimed, bouncing on his toes, his eyes wide with excitement. I'll make it orange and blue, too. Like the sunset. Sarah watched, her heart swelling. The worries of the broken glass faded, replaced by the twinkling delight in Caleb's eyes. This was what it was all about, the spark of imagination, the community coming together. Suddenly, another crash echoed. A stack of chairs tipped over, startling the crowd once more. This time, it wasn't just the sound that sent her heart racing, it was a strange sense of foreboding that wrapped around her. She shot a glance over her shoulder, where the noise had come from. There, amidst the commotion, stood a familiar face. It was her neighbor, Linda, arms full of grocery bags, trying and failing to steady the precarious pile on her own. In an instant, Sarah's protective instincts kicked in again. David. She whispered, her urgency palpable. Could you help Linda? He nodded, sliding from his chair without a moment's hesitation. As David rushed to assist her, he caught Linda's gaze and offered a warm smile, instantly calming her. Sarah felt a ripple of warmth in her chest. This was how community works, strangers becoming friends through small acts of kindness. Tom continued to bounce questions off Caleb, and every new response seemed to draw more eyes toward their table, wrapping them in a cocoon of camaraderie. As they talked about rockets and space, Sarah noticed a few patrons smiling, laughing, even reminiscing about their childhood dreams. It wasn't just about the project anymore, it was about connection, yet, in the back of her mind, the question about Tom still lingered. Why did he seem so at ease with Caleb? What deeper connection was there between them that she hadn't unearthed yet? Was he just being friendly, or was there something more? As the conversation reached its peak, a moment of unexpected silence fell over the cafe. Everyone, Caleb included, turned toward the front entrance. An older gentleman had just entered the cafe, looking lost and uneasy. He fumbled with his cane, eyes darting around, obviously searching for something or perhaps someone. Sarah felt an urge to stand up, to help, to bridge the widening gap between him and the laughter echoing around him. She met Tom's gaze, hesitating for the briefest moment at that unspoken understanding between them. "I have to," she started, her heart racing with the urge to assist but battling it with concerns bubbling below the surface. "Go," Tom urged, already half standing. "We'll be right here." It was a simple push, but it felt monumental. Sarah stood taller, taking a deep breath as she approached the man near the entrance. "Hi there, can I help you?" She smiled gently, her heart pounding as worry draped over her shoulders. As she ventured closer, questions began to swirl. Would her small act of kindness lead to something bigger? What was this man searching for? And were these moments of connection pushing her closer to uncovering what Tom was hiding? In that brief moment, surrounded by the sounds of laughter and chaos, Sarah felt the currents of change flowing beneath her. She knew she was on the brink of discovery, both about her community and herself. What other surprises lay in store today? Sarah stepped forward, her senses heightened. The chatter of the cafe, the laughter of children, it all faded into a soft hum as her focus narrowed on the older gentleman. His brow furrowed, and for a moment, that unfamiliarity, the very essence of loneliness, wrapped around them like a thick fog. "Are you looking for someone?" she asked gently, tilting her head slightly, trying to convey warmth. His eyes narrowed, and for a moment, he seemed to lose his voice. Sarah detected the tremor in his hands, the way he clutched the handle of his cane as if it were his anchor in a storm. "Yes," he finally managed, his voice gravelly, burdened by years. I'm looking for my wife. She used to come here often." A pang of sorrow shot through Sarah. There was a depth to his sadness that resonated with her own feelings of displacement. "What is her name?" she asked, her heart swelling with compassion. "Margaret. She's been gone for a while now." There was a wistfulness in his eyes, deep grief under the surface that fought to break free. Sarah could see the camaraderie brewing within the gathering crowd. Haven T noticed him yet, too wrapped up in Caleb's story, and her heart ached to rectify that. "I'm sure someone here would love to hear about her." "You'll find her in our memories," Sarah offered, her voice steady. "Can you tell me what she liked? Maybe someone else has seen her." He paused, blinking back tears. "She loved stories. She used to sit by the window and read, dreaming away." At that moment, Sarah felt a surge of energy, an invisible thread pulling the various stories in the cafe together. She looked back at her own small table, where Tom, Caleb, and the neighbors were caught up in their universe of cardboard rockets. Tom caught her eye, sensing the shift. He rose again, joining Sarah as she gently pressed the older man. "What if we can share a story or two? It could spark a connection." His face brightened slightly. Yes. She adored tales of adventure. It reminded her of her youth. "David!" Sarah called out, her voice full of excitement. "Bring everyone over here." Moments later, her husband and the others meandered towards her, curious about the sudden shift in atmosphere. Tom stepped right beside her, no hesitation in his stride. There seemed to be some understanding, a shared vision of connection unfolding. As they approached, Sarah felt an overwhelming desire to bring everyone closer, to weave their stories together like threads of a beautiful tapestry. Caleb stepped up, excitement bubbling in his innocent voice. "What adventure did you go on?" The old man's face lit up, his sadness momentarily overshadowed by the spark of interest in Caleb's eyes. He leaned in, steadying himself against the cane. "Oh, I traveled everywhere with her. We were explorers. We soaked in the sunsets, danced under the stars." The cafe, once hushed, began to hum with energy. Everyone gathered closer, drawn into this moment. Questions floated, stories ignited, laughter spilled over. Each person contributed a piece of themselves, without reservations. Suddenly, it wasn't just about the man or his lost wife, it was about shared humanity, about connection threaded through words and memories. As the older man's stories unfolded, Sarah caught a glimpse of pure magic, the joy of community enveloping someone who felt so alone just moments before. But in the back of her mind, as the stories moved fluidly around her, the question of Tom lingered still. She sensed a depth in him, woven into the fabric of the gathering, something that hinted at a secret longing or perhaps an experience she could not yet see. "Wow," she whispered to Tom when there was a small lull, "this is incredible, isn't it?" "Yes," he replied, a hint of something mysterious flickering in his gaze. "But don't forget, sometimes things aren't what they appear to be." His words echoed in her mind, a haunting melody mixed with hope. What was he truly hiding? Was there more to this unexpected gathering than met the eye? As the man spoke of love and adventure, Sarah leaned in, ready to delve deeper into this tapestry of lives interwoven, where each thread beckoned for discovery. What other hidden stories awaited to be revealed through the heart of a community? As the laughter swirled around them, the older man's stories filled the cafe with warmth. Sarah felt a wave of hope wash over her, a sense of purpose blossoming like spring flowers. This was what she had wanted all along: connection, understanding, love. They were more than individuals, they were threads in a vibrant tapestry that pulsed with life. "Tell us more," Caleb chirped, his wide eyes sparkling with wonder. The older man, encouraged by the enthusiasm, leaned in closer, recounting adventures with Margaret that seemed to transport everyone to another time and place. Sarah watched, spellbound, as even Tom appeared softened by the tales. There was a growing sense of camaraderie, the air electric with the realization that they were all part of something much larger than themselves. In that moment, the weight of her worries about Tom began to lift slightly. Maybe this was the bridge, the moment where walls crumbled and true partnership was forged. She wanted to believe that this connection to the older gentleman could spark real change. As the conversation flowed, David returned with Linda, who had been on the sidelines, and they joined the circle, captivated by the stories. The cafe buzzed around them, a living entity of shared hopes, laughter, and deep-seated emotions. Each story offered gentle threads, weaving connections between the patrons, binding them together in a way that felt magical. Yet, behind the joy, Sarah couldn't shake the nagging thought about Tom. What did he want from this? Did he know something the rest of them didn't? But as he engaged with Caleb, listening intently, even sharing dreams of future adventures, she felt a flicker of trust begin to kindle again. Was this the man who could help amplify their voices? Eventually, the older gentleman concluded his tale, his voice thick with nostalgia. There was a silence, the kind that spoke volumes. Each listener sat, absorbing the love that had just been shared, hoping that the bonds formed in this moment wouldn't fade when the day grew dark. Tom, sensing the weight of the moment, turned to Sarah and said, "This is incredible. We need to harness these stories. People need to know there's more out there, especially for kids like Caleb." "Absolutely," she replied, the fire of hope igniting within her once more. "But how do we do that?" He leaned closer, placing a hand on Caleb's shoulder, "By making them the heroes just like he is. Creating a platform where voices are heard, where stories become catalysts for change." A chorus of agreement erupted from the group, energy building like a wave. Sarah felt the undeniable pull of possibility. They were standing on a precipice, a chance to transform everything, to break barriers as they forged a new path. It wasn't just about technology, it was about stories. It was about human experience. "Let us start with this," David said, stepping forward. "What if we documented these stories? How about a series of short videos and blogs, showcasing real experiences?" The patrons buzzed with excitement, ideas igniting like fireworks in the night sky. "Stories that inspire," Tom added. "We'll craft something meaningful together." As everyone began brainstorming, Caleb squeezed Sarah's hand, beaming with pride. "Mom! We can show them how awesome we are." A radiant smile spread across her face. Yes, he was right. It was time for them to shine, to not just take a seat at the table but to build their own. "Let us do this," Sarah said, her voice steady, layers of fear peeling away like the petals of a blooming flower. Together. And with that declaration, the laughter returned, the energy swelled, and Sarah felt the undeniable courage surge within her. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. Days turned into weeks, and as they rapidly garnered support from the community, the once unsteady threads bound them tightly. Weekly gatherings unveiled stories of triumph and resilience. Each tale inspired them further. They formed the foundation of an initiative known as Voices Unbound. Then, just as they began gaining traction, news broke that a significant tech event, a showcase of innovations, was looming, promising exposure to policymakers, investors, and influencers. It was a golden opportunity, yet the stakes felt even higher. For everything to come together, we'll need a pitch, Tom suggested, eyeing them with determination. This is bigger than just us. Sarah nodded. They had come too far to back down now. But can we trust him? Whispered an inner voice. She glanced around at everyone, catching David's encouraging smile, Caleb's brave face. Those doubts began to fade like smoke on the wind. They had each other, and together they were unstoppable. As they prepared their presentation for the event, excitement pulsed through her veins. They were no longer just individuals fighting for change. They had become a unified force, a tribe dedicated to raising voices that had long been silenced. At last, the day arrived. The hall buzzed with potential, teeming with innovators and dreamers, and the air felt electric with possibility. Sarah stood ready at the podium, together with David and Caleb, each of them having a moment to share from their hearts to the world. They presented the initiative with fervor, detailing how they would amplify stories, creating a platform that ensured people like Caleb had access to the resources and support they deserved. As they spoke, the audience nodded, immersed in the narrative they wove together. Caleb signed confidently, his energy radiating infectious joy, reminding everyone that this was about much more than presentations. It was about dreams and connection, about love and resilience. As they finished, the room erupted in applause. The sounds of approval flooded over them, but Sarah saw something more than just claps. She saw eyes sparkling with understanding, minds awakening to possibilities, and then, just as they began to bask in the afterglow, she caught Tom's gaze. For the first time, she felt a sense of trust bloom between them, a realization that he was part of this journey, not just an outsider, but an ally who had chosen to stand alongside them. Days turned to months, with Voices Unbound transforming lives, bridging gaps and shattering ceilings. Feedback flowed in like rivers, washing away doubt and replacing it with resilience. Together, they had sparked a movement, one where laughter rang true, and stories were celebrated. Sarah marveled at the transformation, the stark contrast from the early days of uncertainty to this vibrant celebration of community and empowerment. Sometimes, their journey had felt impossible, but now they were living proof of what could happen when people came together for a common cause. As she watched Caleb thrive, participating in events, making connections, her heart overflowed. This was everything she had fought for. "Mom, can we tell more stories?" Caleb asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Absolutely, buddy. Always," she replied, pulling him close. In that moment, she knew that from every challenge they faced, they had risen stronger. Together, they would keep building a bridge for others, for those who felt voiceless, and as long as they had that spark of connection, they could change worlds. And as Sarah breathed in deeply, she felt an unshakable truth: they would keep rising, keep shining. The tale was far from over. It was just the beginning. So remember, just like Sarah, David, and Caleb, you have the power to change lives and support those who need it most. This is the moment to make a difference. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. It truly makes a difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.